Okay, today we're going to be talking about non-oxidative color products. When something oxidizes, that means that it mixes with something, it releases oxygen. An example would be if you took tint and you took a developer. When you mix them together, oxygen is released into the air. An example of rapid oxidation would be when you strike a match and oxygen is released into the air and you create a flame. So we're doing non-oxidative, which means we are using things that do not require developer. Now, in this section, it doesn't talk about direct dyes like our Pop XG. I'm going to put it in this section. We'll see when we get to the next one if they include direct dyes in there or not. But I believe that it falls under this non-oxidative. So the examples they have are temporary colors, semi-permanent colors, which are almost impossible to find these days, and vegetable, metallic, and compound dyes, which are 3 items that are never, ever, ever used in the beauty salon. All right. So some examples of some non-oxidative colors. You've got your weekly rinse. This is your little old lady that comes in for her roller set, and you take a bottle with a rinse. It's very liquidy, and you squirt it on her hair while she's at the shampoo bowl. You take her back through the roller set, and it just adds a little bit of tone to her hair for that week. It lasts until the next shampoo, which for her would be the following week. So for her, it will last a week. If you shampoo your hair every day, it's going to last a day. All right. Hair chalk. I'm sure many of us have used hair chalk on our hair. It's only there for that day. Hairsprays. You know, at Halloween, we get out the colored hairspray. It's in there until we shampoo the next time. Powders, mascaras. Okay, when we wash our face, it comes off. And more. Okay, so it's something that is only there for one day, and we'll see why when we get a little further into this lesson. Okay, great for people that want to change their hair color without commitment. It's only going to be their day. Now remember, you can't go blonde for a day, so the only thing you can do is go darker, or you can add tones. Like maybe she has blonde highlights and you use a red temporary and you can add that red for the day. It's very subtle, okay? Generally when you're using, you can use a mousse. You can put in a color mousse. This is not a drastic thing. It's just going to change a little bit, and it will help keep their color fresh. Maybe in the past you've bought color enhancing shampoos and conditioners to keep your color looking good in between visits. All right, it can darken, it can give you shine, it can add tones, new tones, and it can neutralize unwanted tones. Very good example is someone that gets their hair lightened and uses a purple shampoo or conditioner the entire time that their hair is lightened to keep those yellows and oranges out of their hair. It will add pigment, but it does not lighten. Can't do that. It is not mixed with a developer or oxidant, and it's used directly out of the bottle or container as is. Nothing is mixed. Okay, it creates a physical change to the hair with no chemical change. It deposits colors that shampoo out, and the major classifications are temporary and semi-permanent. I am adding direct dyes to that. Okay, this is something that you can put into your hair. It will only add tones. So if I have dark hair and I put this purple in, I will see a slight difference with the purple in there. It will last for a while. It will fade out. If I want to see this vibrant, I must lighten the hair, and then I can put this over it. But you use these directly out of the container, out of the bottle, the tube, as is. You do not mix anything with it, okay? And again, we'll get into how this works. All right, so we talked about all these, the rinses, pomades, chalks, crayons. You know, sell crayons that you can color in your regrowth. If you're really gray and you have darker hair and it's growing out, you can color that in between. Again, that's a temporary fix. Okay, semi-permanent color. The reason why I said this is becoming almost impossible to find is I've tried to go out and find it. The semi-permanent and the demi-permanent have almost like merged into one thing. It's very difficult. The lines are blurred between them. So let me show you. In the past, I would have said, if we go back to the drawing of the cuticle, the cortex, and the medulla, I would say if you were getting a temporary rinse, a mousse, something like that, the molecules of that thing are so large that they can't penetrate into the cortex at all, okay? So they just sit on the outside, they just coat the outside. Next time you shampoo, they're gone. So that's semi. Demi is a little smaller. So if we were gonna do a demi, some of them would come in, they would get inside here. Some of them would sit on the outside. But because the molecules are so small and there's nothing there to make them grow or become larger, demi will rinse off the outside, and then these little color molecules will come out of the cortex over time, a few shampoos, and it will fade out. Okay, not as quickly as temporary, because temporary just sits on the outside. Now suppose you had permanent hair color, okay, when it's sitting in the bowl, okay, so you've got your bowl of color sitting there, and you put in your color that you're going to use, okay, so we pour that in, and then we mix developer with it, so we'll pretend it's the same color. So we put that all in the bowl and we mix it all up, we whisk it. What happens is these molecules combine and they get large. So you never want to mix a permanent color any length of time before you're going to put it on the person, because these molecules will be very small. They'll go in there like that, and as it develops, as you let it on the correct amount of time, these molecules will get so large that they can't come out, okay? You'll still have some molecules that didn't quite make it in there real far, and they'll slip out. So certain colors will fade over time, but the majority of the color is stuck in there. Now, what happens if you say, well, I know Margaret's coming at 1, and I know she always gets the same thing, and you mix that color up, and then Margaret says, well, I want my hair pulled out of a cap. How long is that going to take to pull it out of the cap? 20 minutes? These molecules are sitting in here and they're becoming huge as they sit there, and when you go to apply it to the hair, what's going to happen? They can only go on the outside, they can't penetrate. So you never mix color, permanent color, until that person's in your chair and you're ready to apply it. If there's going to be anything that's going to delay that, don't do it. Wait until you're ready to apply it so that that doesn't happen with the color molecules. Okay, so again, you can cover gray or blend gray. This is perfect for blending gray, and it will have a longer lasting effect when applied with heat to porous hair. So remember, resistant hair, it's not going to work. Porous hair, yep, it will get in there, and the heat will help that to penetrate a little bit so that it lasts a little longer. Heat will always do that. Okay. All right, you can deposit, but you can't lighten. It will last several shampoos. So this is how I like to think about it. Back in the 50s, people only shampooed their hair once a week, okay? So if I did a semi-permanent color, it would say something like last 6 shampoos, okay? Let me get this out here. So 6 shampoos, well, that's not bad then. Or if you only shampoo your hair once a week now, whatever your regimen is, okay, you're gonna last 6 weeks. That's awesome. If you have fine hair like mine that tends to get oily very, very quickly, that is not going to happen. I'm going to shampoo my hair every day. So this is only going to last me 6 days. So that's why they came out with Demi. This one lasts more like 6 weeks, even if you shampoo your hair more often. So this had a purpose, or still has a purpose if you can find it, if you shampoo your hair less frequently. But if you shampoo it more, that's why they went with the Demi, so it would still last the 6 weeks time. Okay, leaves no line of demarcation. A line of demarcation is when your color starts growing out and it looks like this, and you have your roots. Okay, that's a line of demarcation. There's my my hair color, there's the artificial color, there's the line. Okay, it's very popular now to do a smudged root, which looks awesome because it's not a line like that, it's smudged. So it looks completely different. You might have dark roots and light ends, and it looks great because it's smudged. It's not a perfect line. Okay, no retouches required. You don't have to come back in and get the new growth done. All right, it's slightly alkaline in pH. Why? You always need an alkaline pH to make these things work. Our hair, skin, and nails is 4.5 to 5.5 on the pH scale. Okay, so if we have a pH scale, it goes from 0 to 14. Neutral is 7. Our hair, skin, and nails sit here at 4.5 to 5.5. So this is the acid side of the pH scale. This is the alkaline side. All right, so if I want to make my hair conditioned and feel great and awesome, I'm going to stay down here. But if I need a chemical product to work, I need this to help raise the cuticle up so it can go in and do its job. Okay, it's only slightly alkaline, so it's not real drastic. All right, vegetable dyes. This is the original stuff. This is what people started with. They had to use leaves and bark and things like that to work on their hair. So it's natural products. Sounds great, right? Natural products to color the hair, and it can be mixed with metallic salts such as lead, silver, and copper. Now we're going, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't think I want lead on my hair. Okay, this is what henna looks like. It's ground up. You buy it like that, and you mix it with water, whatever it calls for, and it makes kind of like a pasty substance. You apply it on the hair, you process it for so long, and you rinse it off. Okay? In its purest form, it produces reddish highlights in hair. That's the original. They, of course, have come out with, you can make your hair brown, you know, different colors, but the original was red. It's one of the oldest forms of hair coloring, obviously. Comes from an Egyptian plant, and it penetrates the cortex after a few applications and builds up, causing color to become permanent. Here's the problem with this. Okay, once you get henna on your hair, it starts doing this to you. It starts making a coating like this on your cuticle. Now, anytime you do that, nothing in cosmetology, nothing we use in here can penetrate that. You're going to get a horrible result. So you can't get a perm, you can't get your hair tinted, you know, you can't get through that coating. Or if you do manage to get through it, it's going to be horrible. It's not going to look good. The other thing is, you think this really natural looking thing would be wonderful, but I've seen people that have used henna on their hair, and it's kind of dull and it looks dry. It doesn't look good. It's not shiny and healthy looking at all. So even though it says natural, I wouldn't go for it. Okay? A metallic dye, this is where it gets really bad. Okay? One of the most famous metallic dyes was called Grecian Formula. This was huge when I was a little kid. And they'd show these men on TV. Okay, so back then, Men didn't want to go to the beauty salon, you know, that would be considered like, oh, you would just never do that. So let's sell them something that looks like water in a bottle. It's clear. And what they would do is they would show this guy in this commercial, and maybe his hair was light, maybe he was going pretty gray, and it would say day 1, and it would show him like that. Day 5, now it's starting to get a little color to it. Day 15, now it's starting to get like brown. You know, day 25, now it's really dark. Okay, what this stuff does is it again builds up on that cuticle and gets darker and darker and darker. That coating just keeps building and building and building. So here's your cuticle, okay? Here's day 1, here's day 5, here's day 15. So you get this horrible coating on there that's not compatible with anything. The other thing is you're putting lead, copper, silver, things like that on your hair. It looks very safe. It just looks like water. So the guys are like, whoa, I'm not really tinting my hair. I'm just putting this stuff on, and like magic, it's turning these colors. Okay. Definitely don't want to put those on your hair. And you can tell when someone is using this on their hair, because their hair will probably have a greenish cast to it. If it's brown, it'll be brown with green. So apparently silver must be like one of the more common things that they make this with. Okay, it's called progressive because it progressively keeps getting darker, or gradually keeps getting darker. It is not a professional product. It does not mix successfully with other chemicals in the salon. I'm going to talk about that in a second. It will discolor and break the hair. You probably are going to have to cut the hair off to get rid of it, and it'll fade into peculiar or unnatural shades when exposed to sun and chlorine. It's ugly, okay? But this was like the beginning of getting the men into the beauty market, okay? So this was the first step. All right, then we come up with compound dyes, which is your vegetable dye and your metallic dye mixed together. So now you've got ugly and ugly, and you've got really ugly, okay? So they can add this to vegetable dyes. It will make a wider range of colors. It'll be longer lasting. It's very unpredictable what you're gonna get, and it is extremely incompatible with anything in the beauty salon. You don't wanna go there. Okay, a test for metallic salts. If someone would come into your salon and they would have like brownish hair, dull, dry, has a greenish cast to it, and you think, I don't know, because I don't know if you know this, but people will definitely fib about what they have on their hair. They don't want to admit it. So you're like, I don't think I should be tinting this hair because I think it has this on it, or I don't think I should give them a perm because I think this has this on it. All right, so you put an ounce of 20 volume developer. Okay, this is 10 volume developer, so you want 20 volume, and 20 drops of 28% ammonia. Okay, so you get ammonia. You snip off at least 20 strands of hair and immerse it in mixture for 30 minutes. Okay, so look for these possible results. If it just lightens slightly, just very slightly, you're okay. There's no metallic salts. If it lightens very quickly, the hair contains lead. Don't do it. No services. No reaction at all after 30 minutes, it contains silver. Okay, so if it's a little bit, it's okay, but if there's absolutely no reaction, do not perform a chemical service. This is the bad one. Solution begins to boil, gives off an unpleasant odor, hair degrades and pulls apart easily, hair contains copper, do not perform a chemical service. Okay, I've never personally run into this in almost 40 years of doing hair, but one of my former students that's the manager at Holiday Hair put a perm on someone, completely unsuspecting, didn't think anything was out of the ordinary, or one of her stylists did, she's the manager, something. And they turned around, they put it on, and the person was sitting over at the shampoo bowl with the solution on, turned around, do something, turn around, and she said there was literally a cloud of smoke coming off of her head. Okay, that's a really bad day in cosmetology when someone's hair is smoking when you just put solution on there, okay? So This was here. Obviously, they had to throw her into the sink, rinse very quickly, try to get that off of there. I believe that this person had a metallic salt on their hair. Okay? I don't know what the outcome was. I'm sure it wasn't good. All right. All right, that's it for this part. So you've got your three choices, three questions to check what you know. Non-oxidative colors create a physical change in hair. So true or false, do they create a physical change or do they create a chemical change? Physical or chemical? Is it coating the hair or is it going in and changing the internal structure of the hair? True or false? Temporary colors allow you to lift and deposit in one step. Can you go lighter with a temporary color? The last one, temporary colors always require a predisposition test. I'll talk about it and let you come to your own conclusion. A predisposition test is required by law 24 to 48 hours before you get your hair tinted. Okay? You mix the color and the developer that the client's going to be getting done. You mix a little dab of each and you apply it to the inner fold of the elbow or behind the ear, and you let it for 24 to 48 hours undisturbed, and then you check. When you wipe it off, if the skin looks the same, you're good to go. If there's redness, there's any kind of reaction, that person is having an allergic reaction to the tint and the developer. Actually, it's the tint, okay? The main ingredient is an aniline derivative, okay? So aniline derivatives will cause you to have an allergic reaction, and you will need to do a predisposition or a patch test, it's called. Weirdly enough, lightener has no aniline derivatives in it, okay? So a lightener will never need a predisposition test. Okay, again, in 40 years, I've had this happen one time. A client was also a cosmetology teacher, thank goodness. So she knew these rules as well as I did. I had been tinting her hair for about a year using the same formula. One day she's getting her hair tinted and she starts saying, "Gee, am I itchy?" And she's like this. She's like, "I don't know why I'm so itchy." Neither one of us are thinking anything. "I'm so itchy, I'm so itchy." She leaves, she comes back for her next appointment, and I said, "Oh my goodness, what are all those marks on your arm?" And she says, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. When I left, I broke out in hives on my entire body." Now this woman had been getting her hair tinted for 30 years plus. I personally had been tinting her hair for the past year using the same formula every time, and that one time she decided to have an allergic reaction. Now, I'm not going to stand here and fib to you. I'm pretty sure none of you have ever gone to a beauty salon and they said, "I have to mix this up and put this on and you have to come back in 24 to 48 hours. It is a law that we are to do that. Nobody does it. Why? If I say that you have to do that and I make you drive in and I mix this up and you go home and then you have to drive back in 1 or 2 days and nobody else is making you do that, you're probably not going to be too happy of a camper. However, I'm here to tell you it doesn't matter how many years you've been tinting your hair, and it doesn't matter how many years you've been tinting it with the exact same formula. At any given point in time, you may have an allergic reaction to it. Whatever happened that day, her body reacted to it and she broke out in hives. The marks were from her scratching, and it actually left red marks everywhere, all over, up and down her arms. Okay, so let's look at this. Oops, there's more. Temporary colors only coat the what part of the hair? Temporary colors contain large color, starts with an M. Semi-permanent colors do not leave a, this is when you come in and there's that Here's my color and here's the artificial color. What was that called? It's 3 words. And compound dyes are a mixture of what 2 things? The one that comes from leaves, and then the one that comes like this, that has some bad substances in it. Okay, so compound dye is a mixture of this and this. All right, number 1, true or false? It is true. Physical change. It just coats the outside. It doesn't go in and chemically change the hair in any way. Number 2, you cannot lift. You can't be a blonde for 1 day. Number 3, do they require predisposition test? No. Permanent hair color has aniline derivatives in it. Temporary and semi-permanent does not. You'll know because you don't even have to guess, because in the instructions on whatever you buy, it will tell you if you need to do a predisposition or patch test. You know that it has aniline derivatives in it. Okay? Temporary colors only coat the surface. I was thinking cuticle. That's how I would have answered it. Temporary colors contain large color molecules. Okay. Semi-permanent colors do not leave a line of